Welcome to Small Strides, Big Business, the podcast for insurance agents who want to grow their business in a way that feels smart, sustainable, and authentic. I'm your host, Krystal Small, and I created this show because success in insurance isn't about doing everything at once. It's about taking consistent steps, learning intentionally, and gaining real insight from people who are building successful agencies every day in the field. On this podcast, we have honest conversations about better sales interactions, smarter client service, automation, mindset, marketing, referrals, all the practical things that move your business forward in real life. Whether you're brand new or years into the game, each episode is designed to help you take that next small stride forward. So grab a notebook, take a breath, and let's dive into today's conversation. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to Small Strides, Big Business. Today we have Ted Reardon joining us. My name's Krystal Small. We have Tiffany Peak here, and we're really excited to talk to Ted. He's been in the insurance space for quite a long time, and he's actually one of the pioneering people in changing how insurance works a little, or looks a little bit. Maybe not works, but looks. So, Ted, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to have you. So, Ted, you are based out of Massachusetts. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we're licensed in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Hampshire.
Awesome. And Ted owns and operates Reardon Insurance, which was founded by your great-grandfather, I saw, which is really...
My great-grandfather, yep.
Great-grandfather in 1990. Wow, I love that. And then you are also the managing partner for Virtual Agent Consultants. So we're excited to learn a little bit more about that too, and how you're kind of changing the face of how things are done. So just a little more of a background, Ted is extremely invested in education. He has been a certified insurance counselor for 19 years, and he's AAI certified. So you're definitely, going above and beyond as far as learning what's new out there. So we appreciate that. We can't wait to learn a little bit more from you today. So Tiffany, I'll have you start.
So Ted, I'm so excited to get your perspective and just hear all of the wisdom that I know that you're going to share with us. So just to kind of kick us off, as you have gained experience in the insurance space, what are some of the common frustrations and inefficiencies, or maybe bottlenecks, if you would, that you've observed in the traditional insurance agencies and spaces?
I would say right now, the biggest concern is getting qualified personnel. There just isn't enough of qualified customer service representatives, producers, accounting people. They just don't exist anymore.
Right.
So it's very, very difficult to get that. And when you do, you've got to pay through the nose to get somebody who's qualified. You can get somebody with a pulse, but it takes at least 2 years to train someone in insurance. It's a whole different mindset of how to think. And a lot of people just don't understand it to begin with.
Where are you finding the people that you're hiring in your agency?
Well, this is where it gets a little bit different for us. We were a traditional agency prior to COVID. So we had a brick-and-mortar location, several customer service representatives working for me, producers. COVID hit, and all that disappeared because no one could come into work. And what I thought was, well, why am I driving 45 minutes from my house to sit in front of a computer when I could actually do that from my house? So we went virtual, and the first iteration of it looked like, if you're not familiar with NORAD, but NORAD is the United States Missile Command Center in Montana. It's full of computers, and that's what my office looked like. It looked like NORAD, because all my people that were still working for me were actually logging into their system, their computer remotely, which was at my office, and I had to keep all this stuff going. So eventually I just thought that, why am I doing this? Insurance companies have what they call service centers. And what the service center does is essentially customer service work. And it's not free. The insurance agents have to pay for it. And you take less commission for them to handle, to talk to your clients about, changing a card, changing their mortgage, making a payment, having a claim. So I made the decision in November of 2020. I remember the day, it was November 14th, 2020, to go 100% service center with the entire agency.
Okay.
I don't, to kind of put that in perspective, we had our clients calling into the various service centers for the companies instead of us talking to them. And I don't know if you're familiar with, if you go into an elevator and it goes down too fast and you feel like your stomach is going into your
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember the location I was at actually had an elevator. We were on the second floor, and I pulled the switch. I pulled the trigger on it, and converted over everything to service centers. And I had that feeling like you go in an elevator, like my stomach just came into my mouth, and I'm like, "What did I just do?" Um, but that was 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I haven't looked back ever since. It's been probably the best business decision that I've ever made.
Awesome.
Uh, so
Going back just a little bit, Ted, I should have asked you. I think I missed my first question, but I should have asked you a little bit more. Just can you go back to the beginning? Like, when did you start in insurance? Obviously, you had your own agency worked, I'm guessing, for your family agency, and then this started. Can you give us a little bit of a timeline of your career?
absolutely. I graduated from college, and literally the last thing in this world that I wanted to do was go into insurance. My family, we had a family insurance agency that was actually run out of my parents' home. And as kids, we would come down, my sisters and I would come down, and sometimes we'd be eating breakfast with the clients.
Wow.
It was that small.
Yeah.
So at that point, I thought, I want to do anything else but this. And you know what happened? You meet a girl. I met a girl, wanted to get married. And at that point, in 1982, when I graduated from college, the economy was horrible, horrible. To kind of give you a perspective, you guys are too young.
Thank you.
Interest rates were north of 14% on buying a house. 14%. There was no jobs available. So the only job that was available was in insurance. I started for a large, what they call Alphabet House in Boston, where it's a huge agency. It's almost the size of a company.
Okay.
And then from there, went to got various jobs. And then eventually my dad wanted to retire. So in 1986, I started working, for them with the express understanding that I was going to, within 5 years or so, end up being about 9 years, but we were going to buy it.
All right. And then COVID hit 10 years later.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we had about, about 20 years later, a little more than that. So we had, I had a long time of that traditional type of insurance agency. So I was very, very familiar with it.
So was it really COVID that hit that made you feel like there needs to be this shift, or were you seeing any opportunities or anything before that to make a shift?
I was seeing the handwriting on the wall. It was very difficult to hire people even back then, back in, 2020, 2021, way before then too. So to try to, you try to like poach other CSRs from other agencies, or trying to get other CSRs from other insurance companies, and then vice versa. So there was always a lot of poaching going on.
And so did you make the change in your own company first and then decided that this is something everybody needs? Is that
Yeah, we did. I mean, like I said, it was a big step. It was like, stepping off a ledge and not knowing if it was going to work, but it worked fantastic. I mean, we got to the point where we're essentially virtual now. We do have 3 offices that we actually share with real estate agents.
Okay.
I think the last time I was in my main office in Medway, Mass, was about 2 years ago. But I mean, if you kind of think about it, if you kind of work your way through it, most people now don't drive around looking for stuff. It's all in the internet. You Google everything. So, like even buying a car, most people don't go to a dealership and walk around looking for a car. You know what you're looking for before you get there. Same thing with insurance. We had very little foot traffic towards the end because people are just using Google. And, at a point, I looked around, I'm like, well, I'm renting the space. I'm paying all this, I'm using all the payroll. I'm doing, 401ks and health insurance, payroll taxes, and it just went on and on and on. And I realized that where all of us are just driving to this one location to sit in front of a computer to talk to people, while they really don't have to do that. We can do that at home. That's what we're doing now. So all my workforce is now remote. And then consequently, the savings on expenses was incredible. We went from paying about $2,000 a month in rent to right now with the 3 offices, all 3 combined, $325 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's more money in your pocket for sure. I love it.
Oh yeah. And then, everything else, utilities, and it just, it all snowballs. So if you go 100% service centered, you're saving about 70% of your expenses.
Which is money that you can put back into doing things like growing your business rather than.
Exactly. So you use that to go, market. And then the other kind of part of it that is a really nice side benefit is time, because that we're shifting all of that, all that kind of, I wouldn't say busy work, but questions that our clients would have. What's my balance, and I want to add on a car, and I've got a new driver, and all those sorts of things, to someone who's specialized in just doing that. So they're talking to a CSR. I'll pick on my favorite company, Plymouth Rock. Okay, so they'll talk to a Plymouth Rock CSR that only knows Plymouth Rock. They don't have to know Arbella, they don't have to know Travelers, they don't have to know Hanover, and it's all done directly and quickly. And because they can do it, they can just put it in and it's done. The clients love it because it makes it so much faster and easier for them to do it. Like I said, we've been doing it now for 5 years. Our retention rate is north of 93%.
That's amazing.
Which average is 90, 89 to 90. We're north of 93. We really haven't. We had 1 or 2 people complain about it. I explained what we're doing, and they were fine with it. So that time now we now have, because we're not doing the customer service work. I am paying the service centers to do this. It isn't free.
Sure.
But it's so much cheaper. That time we're able to do account rounding. We're able to actually talk to our clients, see what they really need, rather than just putting out fires, 24/7.
Sounds like magical.
Just where I think everyone in the insurance industry longs to be, where we can actually do a great job for our clients and stay out of the weeds. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And then, the other part of it is with those, the CSRs at the company is able to offer them so much more. All the training and the 401ks and the health insurance. And biggest thing is upward mobility. Because in a small insurance agency, if you're a customer service rep, there's a ceiling. You can only go so far, unless you want to take over my job. But with a company, they can then transition out of the service center, go into underwriting or claims or whatever, and it's a better outlook for them. They have they're not going to be stuck in one job for 40 years.
Yeah. So you clearly have your own testimonial, but others, as you're bringing in other businesses, and your company, Virtual Agent Consultants. Correct me if I'm wrong. You converse with other agents who are working, have small agencies, and you help them to implement this. Is that right?
That's correct. Right. So it's a 2-year process. It isn't, you can't flip a switch. It's a lot of reconfiguring the agency, getting the clients acclimated to it. And then once you do that, it all kind of falls into place. And the one thing that I was concerned with when doing the virtual agent consultant is actually being the source of people losing their job. Because essentially what we're doing is we're shifting all the customer service work over to the companies. So there's no need for the customer service people anymore. So that was one of my main concerns, was that talking to the service center people at these various companies, they're like, well, you're going to be the reason that these people are losing their jobs, but give them our number. We need people.
Yeah.
and they can work remotely.
Well, and I also can imagine that if we have some people that are really capable in that space, it's not that, a lot of times I'm sure you can put them into another more money-making role, right? Where it's lead
Right.
generation or talking to clients or, oftentimes I know that there's a lot of things that we'd like to be doing in our business, but we're stuck in that
Right.
space where we don't necessarily want to be. So just being able to free yourself up to actually do things that are going to bring in the income and the new clients, I think that's huge. So there may be many situations where people don't, aren't actually out of a job. They're just able to shift what they're doing to a more productive piece.
Change the role a little bit. So what is the hardest part of a brick and mortar agency making a transition into that type of agency, a virtual agency?
Absolutely. The hardest thing is for the owner to realize he's got a problem or she's got a problem and actually want to do something about it. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right.
Yep.
That's essentially what's going on because they're doing the same thing over and over again. Why can't we retain customer service reps or producers? Why do I not have enough time? Why am I working to 8 or 9 o'clock at night? Why is everybody so mad? And it's just that you've got to realize the problem and find a solution to it and implement the solution. So that's really the biggest hurdle. The rest of the stuff is just nuts and bolts.
So looking back when you had your brick and mortars, because that's where most people are right now, what do you find is obviously we've touched on the service people. So if we just kind of elaborate a little bit on that, where do you find those difficulties? If you can think back, implementing systems, reaching out to people, terminations and new hires and prospecting and all that kind of thing. Where do you feel like for the new person, they should be let's ask this. Where should the new person be spending most of their time to be most productive? And then on the flip side of that, what can they be offloading and giving away? Because when we do start our own business, we think we need to do everything.
In my 40 plus years, the biggest thing that was impressed on me when I first started working, and I was trained as a claims adjuster, and the very first thing, and my boss, Larry, pounded this into my head every single day. The biggest thing that you can do is if you don't know the answer to the question, you tell the client, I don't know. And I will find out and I will get back to you. You might not like my answer, but I will get back to you.
Yeah.
That is really the biggest thing because, otherwise you're just you're just putting out fires constantly.
Yeah.
The second thing would be doing your due diligence and getting all the details right. So the devil's in the details. So, I would say currently in the current workforce, there is a huge propensity for kicking the can down the road. So if they got a problem, I'll send an email to somebody, and they think it's the problem solved. It isn't. My thing has always been take the problem and solve it. Don't wait. Just figure it out, solve it, and then go on. Because then what happens is that if you don't, then your time is getting sucked up by your clients that still have the problem that are calling you back, getting the status. So you're talking about the status, but you actually can't get any work done because there's so many people calling you for statuses. So if you just literally just fix the problem and go the whole 100% and just get it done. I mean, I'll give you an example. I was talking this about my wife the other day. There was a situation with an insurance company that we can kick down the road. I literally drove up to the insurance company, met with them, and I told, I met with the assistant vice president. I said, this is the problem. Oh, we'll take care of it. No, you don't understand. This has been going on for 3 months. We're going to take care of this today. So let's find the person that actually inputs this thing and gets it done. Go down to his or her desk, and you can ask them to just do it. So we did. Miraculously, it got done. So,
Love that answer so much. I think that's one of the huge two of the huge disconnects in not just insurance in general, but in business in general, is just the lack of transparency when there are problems, and then the lack of people willing to solve the problems. So I love hearing stories about people who run their business and they make things happen. You just fix the problem for your client. That is just an elevated level of customer service that just seems to be disappearing in our world.
Right.
So that's great. I love those answers. So just looking ahead on the way that we're moving right now, I mean, technology has become so huge. What type of technology and just different types of processes do you find that you can't live without in your agency?
I would say right now, the biggest thing is, obviously computers. Having a robust computer system and not cheaping out on it. So if you, like an auto mechanic, isn't going to go to Walmart and pick up his tools. He's going to go to Snap-on or, another type of professional tool to
Yeah.
use. And that's the same thing with these computers. I just got a laptop because Microsoft was going from Microsoft to Windows 10 to 11. My computer person said, well, we can just adapt your current one. I said, the other one, my old one was 4 years old. And I invested another $1,000 and got a really robust one. Right now, I'm looking at you with 4 screens.
Makes
Good
life
for
so easy.
you.
But it's a tool. You use it as a tool, and you keep, you take care of the tool. You make sure the tool is as fast as you can possibly get it,
Yeah.
and as most efficient as you can get it, and invest in the tool. Now, I went into an agency, they were running Windows 98, and they said, no, it still works. I'm like, sure. How long does it take you?
My
It's
kids would have a
enough.
field day. They think we're super old because we know what the 90s are like.
Oh yeah, it is. My son was actually working for an insurance company as a summer job, and he was in the actuarial department, and they were running, I think back at that point, Windows 2000 or something, and it was really at the actuarial department. Okay, that's crazy.
Wow.
And he said, Dad, I'd run, he'd run a spreadsheet. It would take him 2 hours for the computer to do the spreadsheet stuff. And the president of the company happened to come by, and he started talking to my son, and my son's like, oh, it's the president of the company. And not knowing anything, not knowing protocol or anything, he said, well, what's your biggest problem here? He goes, well, the computer system's horrible. And the president's like, what? And he goes, yeah, my son actually brought in his laptop, and they had a race between the existing insurance company computer and my son's laptop. His laptop did it in something like 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And theirs did it in
Wow.
like 2.5 hours. And
Oh
then
my gosh.
right at that point, the president looked at him and he said, you just got yourself a raise. And
Gonna say, I hope we get a raise.
Yeah, within a year, the entire computer system was replaced.
Excellent. I love that. Yeah, it's really, some people are nervous about technology, but it's growing at the speed of light. So, it's
You
ever
got to embrace
changing,
it.
and you do. I love on your website. I might butcher it, but I think changing 102-year-old business model is what you say. I think
Yeah.
it's true. Some people are stuck in that space. So in your existing business, what is the 5-year plan for you guys, Ted? What does that look like?
Well, we're looking at, I'm going to go into semi-retirement. I'm still going to be involved in it.
Yeah.
And, I've got someone who's a producer that's going to take over some of my jobs as a producer, but I'm still going to be doing the administrative part of it. We're going to keep it going for the next generation. So hopefully my son might be interested in coming in. And then after that, I've got 3 grandchildren that I hope at least one of them will or maybe all 3 would be interested in getting involved in it, because we're expanding, we're growing, and it's just a matter of you just need someone captaining the ship.
Right. With that growth, what are you feeling there's any bottlenecks right now? It sounds like you're kind of in that period of time where you want to go from here to here. So what are you experiencing, or can you share any insights that you have as you do that growth? What you kind of come up against, or what you're fighting right this minute?
What's holding us back a little bit is not all the insurance companies have service centers. So we actually had to do a book transfer from 2 insurance companies that didn't have insurance centers to companies that did have insurance centers. Okay.
Okay.
So that the processing could be done basically by the insurance company. I think that those companies are very short-sighted, and by not having the insurance, the insurance centers, I think it's going to be the wave of the future. I mean, that's what's going to happen. And the companies that don't see that, it reminds me that you ever seen that poster of someone at the beach and they get their back to the ocean and they think everything's great, but
Yeah.
in back of them is a tidal wave. And then they turn around and go, oh no, we got to run now. It's too late. So the companies that have invested in the service centers, I think they're forward thinking, and I think they're going to survive. The ones that don't, I'm really questioning their survivability, or if they might just get bought up by another company that has a service center. So I would like to represent more companies, but our model is basically a service center. So I can only represent companies that have service centers.
Well, so do you have any advice for new agents who are coming into the insurance field?
I feel like a broken record,
I know.
but
I was going to say, I think I know what that's going to be.
you know what that's going to be.
Well, narrow it down. Give us the ultimate. If you had one thing to say to them, what would be the most overarching, do this and you'll survive this crazy business of insurance?
Number one, you know it's coming. Utilize companies that have service centers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's number one. Now, the service center model, a lot of the companies won't let you get into it right away. You have to have a certain amount of volume of premium.
Mm-hmm.
It could be anywhere from 300,000 to 500,000 to $1 million. But having said that, if you get into a company that has a service center, then you have that option. You don't have to upend your agency by doing a book transfer, a book roll over to one that does.
Yeah.
The second thing would be invest in technology, and go virtual. Simply because the newest, the demographic you're going after isn't the demographic that's going to want to stop into your agency and chat. I'm 65. Okay, so I don't want contemporaries coming in and chatting about their grandkids and all that. It's using up my time. And it's nice to do that, sure, but we're an insurance agent. Think of the last time you just dropped by your lawyer's office and started chatting about, what vacation you just went on. It just doesn't happen. Or your CPA, or a financial planner. It just doesn't happen that way. And we're basically the same thing. We're protecting their financial viability by providing them insurance, and we have to be able to concentrate and know what we're doing. It's extremely complicated. So that would be the second thing. Would be just the the first thing would be service center companies. Second thing, invest in technology. Third thing is go virtual, and the fourth is get a virtual presence on Google. That's the way to go. Google reviews are gold, absolute gold.
Okay, good to know.
I am. When I ask for Google reviews for everybody. I'm not shy about it at all.
Okay, that's great advice. Absolutely. Get your Google business page.
Oh yeah, because what do you do when you look for something? Where do you go?
Mm-hmm. Google. And what do you look for? Reviews. Mm-hmm.
That's right. Mm-hmm. You're exactly right.
I love that. Awesome. Well, Ted, thank you so much. This has been really insightful. We may have multiple questions to come back and ask you. So maybe there's a second request of a podcast at some point. But
that would be great.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you for spending time with me today on Small Strides, Big Business. I hope this conversation gave you some clarity, confidence, or one new idea to move your agency forward. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow or subscribe and share it with another agent who could benefit. You'll find links, tools, and helpful resources in the show notes, along with ways to connect or ask questions. I'm Krystal Small, and remember, every small stride you take today builds the foundation for long-term confidence, stability, and growth in your business. I can't wait to talk with you again on our next episode.